Hi, welcome to Broke Teachers Travel Podcast. I'm Marnie,
And I'm Jeff.
and today we're going to talk to you about traveling during the school breaks. When we first started traveling during the school year, did it seem almost impossible to you?
Well, if it's possible to be more broke than we are now, yes, so money was definitely an issue, but it definitely presented a lot of challenges.
I think, though, we have gotten better at being broke. We've learned how to kind of rearrange things and learn how to use things to our advantage to help us travel. Over time, we have learned that it is very doable to travel during the school year, and we're going to share our tips with you today.
The big thing is something I've already done for this year is to check out the school calendar. All of the school breaks are usually listed at the beginning of the year, so I go through and I highlight and I kind of start looking at any possible dates.
Yeah, and sometimes they drop those calendars about midway through the current school year for the next year. And that helps even more because you can plan further out. Even if you're not booking yet, you can kind of start saving and keeping in mind what you want to do and making plans and things, and it really helps. Do keep in mind, though, that on those calendar dates, they can vary a little bit depending on where you live. If you live up north, it might be because of snow days. And if you live in the south like we do, well, hurricane season is a thing. And sometimes we get booted out of school for storm days and things like that.
And of course, a pandemic. So
Yes.
yeah, so
yes.
that's
You never know what's coming anymore.
the good thing about knowing those days in advance is that you could book your flights, your hotels, your excursions, and sometimes you could get really, really good discounts the earlier that you do this. Now, understand that it can't be too early because there's kind of a sweet spot in there. Maybe 4 to 5 months is kind of what I've generally found. Other people may, find a little bit different, but it's what works for you. Or you may have the opportunity to make payment plans on your trip rather than paying all at once. I know that there are some travel companies that we work with sometimes that allow you to do that, and that definitely helps.
That does help a lot. And I know even with Disney, I'm not sure if Universal does that or not, but a lot of different travel companies, like Jeff said, really do allow payment plans. And that makes a big difference for a family vacation. For any vacation, really, but it makes a family vacation more doable because you can chip away a little bit at a time.
Right, absolutely. Because, depending on where you're going, it could be fairly cheap, but if you're definitely planning a week at Disney or a week or two in Europe, it's going to be, costly. It's going to stretch your budget a little bit, but if you divide it up by 12 or 24, ever how often you get paid, it makes it a lot more manageable. And like Marnie said, I like that word, chipping away at it.
Depending on the amount of time you have during those school breaks, even if it's just a weekend or whether you have 2 weeks, this is going to play a major factor in what you choose as your destination. And if you need help choosing a destination, check out our episode 2 podcast / YouTube channel episode. We have a lot of information there that can help you try to, narrow it down a little bit and choose where you'd like to go.
I was going to say this involving just international travel, but I think it's any travel. If you're traveling internationally, try to build in that day of downtime to kind of recoup from that jet lag. But, if you're traveling domestically, understand that, if it's a 3-day weekend, try to leave that evening, take an evening flight so you have the full day, the extra day in there. So, a lot of times, always count the travel day to and from, as kind of a wash day. It's very hard to get.
Absolutely. We have always done that because whether you're traveling by car, by plane, or whatever, it always takes longer than you think it will.
Oh, yeah.
It takes up the majority of the day, even if it's a short trip. It seems like somehow it turns into a full day of travel. Another thing you can think about when you're planning a vacation during the school breaks is to get some of your work done ahead of time to make your return to work easier. If you know you have a project at work that you need to get done, or if you're a teacher and you need to get, maybe you need to get your grades in a little early or something, the day before the break instead of the day after the break. Go ahead and get that done because it will make it so much easier when you come back. You don't have all this stuff looming over your head while you're on vacation, and you can actually relax.
And one of the things that I thought about is that in our district, we're not really allowed to take that day before or day after
Right.
off. So, I mean, we're allowed to, but you have to have administrative approval. So, if you're getting everything done and you could tell your administrator that, hey, I've got all my grades in, I've got all this in there, they're a lot more likely to give you the go ahead to do that.
Yeah, unless they're short-staffed, they absolutely will be more lenient.
And I've never really had a problem of them saying no. I know with you and your principal, you asked,
Last year.
last year, hey, can I
For January of this year, yes.
Right. And so, again, as long as there's a plan and, you're courteous to the administrators about that, because they don't want to be short-staffed, especially with everybody doing that, so.
Right. It's not fair to everybody else who's working there, If, I think this is something you've talked about actually, is when we took our kids on vacation.
Oh yeah. Sometimes my kids didn't like it. Sometimes they did.
It just kind of depends on how it's presented.
Being a history teacher, if you're a parent taking your child on vacation, speak with their teacher, and maybe they could, you could work something that you learned in your lesson. I know this past year I had a student that her history fair project was on the Founding Fathers, and they had been in Philadelphia, and she had all these cool primary pictures and primary sources, which was really cool. So sometimes they could add something really cool to your lessons, because I know I took a couple of those pictures she gave and I incorporated in my lesson, which was cool. Ask if you might be able to add this in the future. And this is a great opportunity to make education fun. I know for our daughter specifically, she finally came around, but she did tell me I had
an unhealthy obsession with dead people.
Because
was the exact quote.
Well, because it's cool to go see where someone.
It's all the historical stuff.
It really is, but it's a lot of fun. And if you're a historian, if there's something that you like, and it doesn't have to be like history. One of my former students, that's now grown. I saw them the other day at I think it was Walmart or somewhere, and they had just come back from Cooperstown, and with the Hall of Fame there and everything. And I thought that was a really, really cool thing, because they're all into the traveling baseball and everything. And and what a cool road trip to go see something like that.
That's actually a pretty big one now.
Right.
A lot of people do that. They go see all the major ballparks and the Hall of Fame and everything. And I think that's really cool. That's a good domestic one for the United States too.
And the other thing, and I can't remember the exact dates, but there's something for everyone. And things go on constantly throughout the year, but I know that we went to like DCI competitions and things.
Yes, the Drum Corps International competitions.
And so, it doesn't matter if your kid's an athlete, if they're an artist, it doesn't really matter, a musician. There's something to make it a little more fun. And one of the things is, if you're traveling during the school year, there's not that long, dull, that period of time to, so you're there, you have fun, and then you come back. So
right. Another thing, and this is going to be our last tip for you on this episode, is have your kids go ahead and get some of their makeup work done before they leave for the vacation. Just talk with their teacher. Say, hey, do you happen to have this planned out yet? If not, it's not a big deal. But if so, is there any way we could get, if they're going to be missing a couple of days, is there any way we could get the assignments for those days? Don't ask months in advance. Ask the week before you're going to leave. That way the teacher has plenty of time to have everything planned out. But that way, if they go ahead and get those assignments done, I feel like they're not starting off behind when they get back to school.
It's the same thing with us. If you're a traveling teacher on this short break,
Anybody that travels.
you're a kid on this short break. When you come back, and even if you're not a teacher and you're just talking about an extra couple of days off from work, I mean, it's work just a little bit more every day so that you have a little cushion in there.
Yeah, I truly think it makes the difference. It does let everybody relax and enjoy everything, and there's less pressure, when you get back to try to catch up on everything. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to check out our social media. It's in our link tree, and don't forget to follow and like us on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it is now. I can't keep up. And remember, break the monotony.
Not the bank.
Bye, guys.
Guys, and we appreciate all of you guys that have followed and liked us. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them to us.
Yeah,
Okay?
drop those travel questions to us and tips. We love to hear how everyone travels. Thanks a lot.
right,
have a great weekend.